Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's GTA 5 video, we're going to be talking about the changes that Rockstar are going to be making in the upcoming summer 2022 DLC update. More specifically, looking at what the Oppressor Mark II is going to be like after the changes are implemented. So let's go ahead and dive into that right now. Rockstar specifically said they're going to be reducing the effectiveness of homing missiles and countermeasures on the Oppressor Mark II. So let's just go ahead and take a look at the missiles and the countermeasures. Starting with the missiles, the Oppressor Mark II has 4 homing missile launchers, which allows you to fire them pretty quickly. Now, they have good tracking capabilities, still inferior to the ones from the Ruiner 2000, and they have a capacity of 20. So here's what I think Rockstar is going to do. The first thing they could do is decrease the damage that the missiles actually do. So instead of blowing something up in one shot, let's call it, it might take 2 or 3. They could also slow down the rate in which you can actually fire the missiles. So that means if you miss one, you're going to be pretty vulnerable for a couple more seconds, or maybe even a few couple of seconds for that matter. They could also limit how well the tracking capability is, and also the distance and when you could lock onto something. So now you might have to be a lot closer. And you could also limit the capacity even further. So as it stands right now, you've got 20 missiles. This could easily be brought down to 10 or 15. You would think Rockstar wouldn't go so drastic in reducing it by over 50%, but maybe 15 is a good one that they could meet at. So those are the options they have for the missiles. And then for the countermeasures, they definitely have a couple of things that they could tweak here, because the Oppressor Mark II can be fit with 3 different countermeasures. You have the chaff, which actually disrupts the targeting system from missile launchers, rendering them unable to lock on the vehicle for 5 seconds. And these have a delay of 5 seconds before being used again and only have 10 uses. You have the flare, which drops flares behind the vehicles, which can disorient the homing missile in order to avoid chasing the vehicle. These have a delay of 3 seconds before being used again and only have 20 uses. And the smoke countermeasure creates a trail of smoke that can disorient the enemy pilot, but its effectiveness is very limited, as the trail is large enough for a standard cockpit and the enemy pilot would just need to move away and follow the smoke trail. This has no delay between uses and can be used indefinitely. So as far as the countermeasures go, I feel like Rockstar also have a couple of options here. For the chaff, they could reduce the amount of time in which the vehicle cannot be locked on. They could decrease the delay, and they could also shrink the number of uses, bringing it from 10 to maybe like 7 or 5. And they could also do the same thing with the flare. Now, these have a delay of 3 seconds and only have 20 uses, so they could bump up the delay for 5 seconds, and they could bring it down to maybe 10 or 15 uses. So that's what I expect Rockstar to do. There's also a couple of other things that they could do for the Oppressor Mark II. Like, for example, they could make it so that it can only be spawned in once per session or once every 10 or 15 minutes. That would mean if it's blown up, you're not going to be able to get it for quite some time unless you end up leaving the session. So there's a handful of things they could do. But since Rockstar specifically focused on homing missiles and countermeasures, I think that's probably what they're going to tackle here. So that's what I would imagine Rockstar is going to ultimately end up doing. The next thing they say is offer a more convenient way to access snacks and armor. So as things currently stand right now, what you have to do is open up the interaction menu, then you have to go to snacks, then you have to choose which snack you want. Same thing with armor. You have to open up the menu, choose armor, then choose which armor you want. My personal suggestion is that you could implement both of those into the weapon wheel, at least the armor part, so that you can just choose armor on the fly. And you can even set which armor you want to be applied so that it's just kind of like a one-click thing. And for snacks, Rockstar could make them so that you don't actually have to physically go through the snack eating animation. You're getting shot at, and you have to open up a pack of P's and Q's and toss them into your mouth. It's just not convenient at all. And then the ability to launch cell missions in an invite-only session. I think this one is pretty straightforward. Essentially, now you can just go to like your office computer, biker computer, gunrunner computer, and when you're in an invite-only session, you'll be able to sell them no problem. And what I would imagine now is you'll only have to deal with NPCs. You're not going to be dealing with other players. I still think you're going to have some opposition here. Rockstar's not just going to let you do it without anything stopping you, but now you just don't have to worry about other players, which is quite nice. Now, a handful of other things they're going to be doing is they're going to be increasing payouts to reward players for their time, regardless of what they choose to play. So it kind of makes you wonder if Rockstar will be adjusting the way payouts are given. Instead, it will be given for how long you're doing something, not necessarily how good you're doing something, or it might be a combination of both. They might set a price floor so that no matter what, you're going to be making a good amount of money, but then obviously as you go higher up on the podium, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, you're going to be adding even on top of that. And they basically say at this point in time, because the game has been out for almost 10 years, they want people to get money faster so that they can get what they like and have greater freedom. Now, we're also going to see increased payouts on bodyguards, associates, and MC members. I wonder how much they'll bump it up. At least a 50% increase, I think, would be nice. And we're also going to see increased payouts on races, adversary modes, and heist finales. Again, this seems so weird to hear from Rockstar because usually they're very stingy when it comes to the payouts that they give. So it'll be interesting to see what amount they ultimately bump that up. And then they obviously talk about curated seasonal events. We've obviously passed the 4th of July and Independence Day here in the U.S., but there's plenty that are upcoming, like Halloween and Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's Eve. There's going to be a lot of fun stuff, which is what they say, additional bonuses and gifts. Think of free money, think of all sorts of stuff like that. The community challenges, remember the heist challenge that came out before the launch of the Cayo Perico heist, where we ended up getting bonuses when the DLC arrived. And they say there's going to be a bunch of other surprises to keep it as dynamic and as unpredictable as ever. So that is how I feel a lot of the changes are going to work, specifically the Oppressor Mark II, which I would say is the most controversial vehicle in the entire game. But I'd love to hear from you guys in those comments down below. How do you think the Oppressor Mark II is going to work after this new update? Do you think it is still going to be the best and most griefer-friendly vehicle in the game? But will it even matter because now you can do pretty much anything you want in an invite-only session? Let me know what you guys are thinking about in those comments down below. I would love to hear from you guys down there. If you guys did go to enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new. You want to stay up to date on all the latest GTA and all the Rockstar Games videos that I'll be doing here on my channel. And be sure to ring that notification bell as well. Sometimes YouTube just doesn't work, and if you ring that bell, you'll always be guaranteed to be notified when new videos arrive. But of course, as always, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.